system that I'm using here to manage the files on the 52 challenge book list or manage the books on the 52 book challenge list. I'm going to show a combination of ChatGPT over here and basically Google Documents. Which is to say that this is something that should be free for anyone. I'm not at all suggesting that this is the way anybody else should go. Rather, I'll just show you this system and maybe it'll give you ideas on how to do your own. So let's start off in Google. You'll notice I have a file here that's called Challenge Ideas and Planning, and that's sort of where I keep my ideas. Like I might read Mexican Gothic for number 3 or something like that, right? And I'll show you some more about that. I'll talk about the file in a little bit. But then I also have this list that's very simple here. That's called 2025 Checklist. And it literally is just a text file that includes the 52 prompts. And then it includes some text up at the top, which is written in plain language. Let me zoom in on that so that hopefully you can see it, and I'll just read it. Review the books against each of the 52 prompts in this list. Your output must have 52 responses numbered and in order. Determine if any addition to the book meets the prompt. If any addition meets the prompt, the answer is yes. Prompts can be interpreted in a number of ways. Be creative. Include an explanation of how the book meets the prompt. So this is the opening stuff that I have in the checklist. I keep this checklist up here in Google. If you're going to use the free version of ChatGPT, then you probably want to take this and save it. So you would download it, and I would just download it as a plain text file or use it as a plain text file. There's no reason for it to have any formatting or anything like that. This could be a very, very small file. And so then back to Google here. We have to create a form. And if you've never created a form in Google, it's pretty simple. You just go new and then create a new form. It's right over here. But this form that I have created here is a very, very simple form. Literally just has 3 questions. Question number 1 is a short answer text. What's the name of the book? Question number 2 is my star rating. How did I rate the book? And then question number 3 is check all that apply. So there's 52 check alls that apply there. The nice thing is that you do not have to retype any of that. If you've already got the checklist in text format, then you can just paste it in there. That'll be fine. So you get this form set up. Once you've got a form set up, then you press the send button, and you're only going to send it to yourself. You know, you can send it to your own email address. I don't even do that. I click on the link button here, and then I shorten the link. And that gives me a link that I can use to access this form whenever I want. And you kind of already saw that in my challenge ideas and planning. The thing that I have up at the top is the form. And so whenever I want to launch the form, I usually just launch it from there. Okay, so I think that's all we really want to talk about. And then I was going to do a demonstration here. So let's start demonstrating. So I'm going to start a new chat with ChatGPT, and we're going to run this on a book that I am not going to include this year. It's a book that I DNF'd this morning. So I'll go to ChatGPT and I'm going to tell it, run this checklist on the book The Nordic Theory of Anything by Anu Partanen. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, Anu. And then what I'll do is I'll literally take that text file, the checklist text file, and drop it into the chat box with that. So you say, hey, run this checklist, the checklist that I just gave you, on this book, right? And I press go and wait for the robot to do something. Happy little robot doing what robots like to do. Off she goes. Now, I can already tell that it's producing some answers that I don't like. So I'm going to start to give it some feedback on this as it goes. I like to keep the screen up here so that it can keep working. But I'm going to say, listen, number 10 is a no. Is no. That's not anybody's name. That's not a real name, right? Although they did give me a source, by the way. Um, let's see. What are some of the other ones that I don't like? No, it doesn't have any. Yes, the chapters are. No, no, no. No, it addresses the reader, but not in a fourth wall. Oh, I don't. What about this one? What about 26? Hey, look up the answer to number 26 to see if it has more than 1 million copies sold. Okay. No, it's a standalone book. No, it has a single narrator. Direction in the title. Nordic implies a northern direction. Okay, we're going to go ahead and give it to that. This one chosen for somebody else. Yes, chosen by your brother. The reason that it does this is because I actually did this before I recorded the video, and I told it to change that. Chosen by my brother. That's hilarious. ChatGPT does remember things about me. Does it have an epigraph, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, I can tell it a couple of things that I don't like. You know, number 10 is not a real name. Number 26, it's going to leave that at no because it hasn't had. And then after I made these corrections, I just say recompile the checklist. And this will take a lot less time, and it'll just spit out the updated checklist for the Nordic theory of everything. Okay. And you can kind of see here that I did this before I recorded this video just to test it out. Now, I actually subscribe to ChatGPT. I pay for ChatGPT. I'm not endorsing that in any way. But what that allows me to do is I can have these things called projects. And so I have my 52 book project. The cool part about that, two cool parts about that. One is that I can leave the checklist file just sitting in my project file. So when I want to review a book against the checklist, I just tell it, you know, review this book against the checklist, and it already knows that the checklist is the checklist that I have updated. And then also all of my histories of the books that I've looked up um, are sitting here, you know, within this, so I can go back and I can go look at those chats that I've had, and you can see I ask it to recompile these checklists, you know, kind of a bunch of times and give it some feedback and keep going. And so that's what I do. Let's go back to this Nordic one that we were doing, and I'll show you how I actually input this in. So what I would do is I would go to my link and I would launch the form. So now I'm actually in the form, and just because I'm kind of weird this way, I generally will split the screen up. So I'll have my Chat GPT on one side of the screen, and then I'll have my form on the other side of the screen. Um, and so I just need my book title, uh, and I enter those in a pretty specific format. Sorry about this. Hartonen, I knew, this is dumb because I'm going to delete this in a second. And let's just say that I gave it 2 stars. And I would go through the list here and I would see where the yeses are. We're going to give it the N. We're going to give it not a lot of yeses on this book, by the way. Direction in the title, we're going to go ahead and give it that. Where's direction in the title? 37, we'll say that was chosen for me by somebody else. It does have an epigraph. The color is blue. The cover font is blue. It definitely explores social class. Um, so let's just leave it at that. Oh, some of the countries have active volcanoes in them, so we'll leave it there. Okay, and then I just press submit, and you can submit another response. It always leaves you on that to submit another response, but I don't want to submit another response. I'm going to close that down, and then I'm going to expand this back out so that I can go back over to Google. Now, if I look at my prompt, if I look at my checklist in design form, then I can take a look at what I've already submitted. As I start to get results, then you'll see these results lined up over here. So these are all the books that I've read so far. This year, I finished a bunch of books in the first week of the year. And so there they are. Now I can look at the individual responses and tab through them. Um, and I can, in fact, delete these responses, which I'm going to do right now. I don't actually want this one in my list, and so I'm going to go ahead and delete that response. I cannot, by the way, edit those responses, but I can take a look. If I'm in responses and I look under general, then I can go down and look at, okay, well, how many do I actually have in the different prompts, which fills up relatively quickly just with a couple of books. I'm sure you guys know that. Then the other thing that you can do to take this about 3 steps further is that there's always an option here to link to link your survey responses to a spreadsheet. Now, the first time you do this, it'll say open the responses to this survey in a spreadsheet, which you should definitely do. Mine, since it's already linked to a spreadsheet, will just go over and show you those responses in the spreadsheet. And they always come in with the timestamps, nothing you can do about that, but then you just literally see the 3 questions. Okay, so here's the fun part. I'm going to go click over here into a blank cell, and I'm going to go to extensions and app script. And you see this scorecard compilation app. It wants to confirm who I am. I'm going to press run over here, come back over here, and it says unique highest rated books assigned to check strings. And it gives me this list of my prompts. Here's the prompt, here's the assigned book, here's the star rating, and then here's the timestamp, right? And so now this tells me, I like this because this tells me right away that I don't have any, oh, I need to take the Nordic theory of everything out of there. That's interesting that it didn't delete it. Anyway, but it tells me right away that I haven't done anything for prompt number 3, that I can go do number 3. We're going to delete this, and I'm actually, while I'm here, going to delete this. Delete row. So, but I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh my God, look at that. This guy like wrote some actual code. This guy wrote like a program, to sort these books. And no, 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 no. I'm absolutely not that smart. I didn't write a program to sort those books. ChatGPT writes a program to sort those books. I just started off by telling it what I wanted to do. Hey, can you write a formula or a macro, or automation that'll rank these books? And I pasted in I actually like highlighted this and literally just pasted it into the chat. And then it says, oh yeah, we can totally do that. We could do that in Excel. And I said, no, I'm not working in Excel. Here's me. No, I'm not working in Excel. I'm working in Google Sheets. Oh yeah, we could do that in Google Sheets. Here's how you do it. You just make sure your data's good. Yeah, my data's good. And then here's the code. And then I asked it some questions. Well, what will happen if there's 2 books with the same rating, for the same prompt? And it said, well, this one's going to overwrite the previous entry, And so it started talking to me about how to handle ties. And that's when I came up with my little thing here, where I said, look, here's how I want to handle ties. I want the most recent book going to the lowest number on the list. And then I want, there can only be 1 book per prompt. And then any book that's been used in a prompt is no longer available to be used in other prompts, right? And ChatGPT said, okay, no problem. Here you go. Here's the code for how to do that. It told me how it works, and then it showed me a sample of the output. And then I literally just pasted that over here and had it do the work. I didn't even know how to run the macros, by the way. You see, I had to ask. I was like, hey, do I press the deploy button? Because there's this big deploy button over here. Do I press that button? And she said, no, don't press that button. All you need to do is press the run button. Oh, run button is right here. Oh, okay, thank you very much. And so there you go. So that's how I'm managing my list. I started it earlier in the year. This is something I had wanted to do last year, and I had some of the infrastructure in place last year. But this year, I really have the idea that I wanted it to automate the whole process and always give me the highest rated book into the lowest prompt number as we go through the year. So If this video was at all helpful for you, then great. If not, then you have already turned it off by now. And so have a great day.